This episode of The Bill and Callie Show is brought to you by
Connections Restored, helping people who have suffered from trauma, PTSD, and addictions. Connect with us at connectionsrestored.com. Connections Restored.
Hello friends, how are you doing today? I'm so excited to share today with you. How are you? Put it in the comments. I would love to see how all of you are today. Today I'm feeling dynamic and I'm feeling very excited and inspired to share today's topic with all of you. One that was actually inspired from a conversation I had with my students in my 1-year intensive program called The Science of Energy and Evolution, where we connect the dots in a sort of medical intuitive sort of way, where we're looking at the chakras and how to balance the endocrine system at the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual level. I also teach human design, gene keys, and Reiki all the way to the Reiki master teacher level, which I am a proud certified Reiki master teacher. And life has just been such a beautiful journey. And we have been talking in there about health and self-care and connecting to people and healing at a cellular level. And so it just really prompted me to talk to everybody today about this very important topic. And I'll get to that in just a moment, because I also want to let you know that this is a topic that has really presented itself very predominantly in conversations I've been having with my one-to-one clients and my mastermind students. So something really very near and dear to my heart, and that is the depth of health and self-care, because there's a depth, right? There's surface level. I'm going to make some right choices around eating, and then there's this depth to it all. So this is episode 30 of Connections Restored TV. My name is Amy Boswinkle. If you're new to my audience, I am an intuitive and a body, mind, and soul health, life, and business coach. I'm so excited. Episode 30. Can you guys believe it? 30 episodes of Connections Restored TV, an affiliate of the Bill and Callie Show Network. And today's topic, again, is how to heal, health, and how to connect to self-care at a deeper level. And what a beautiful topic to be talking about for this specific time of year. I live in the Midwest of the United States, and here we are at October, in the middle of October, and the weather is shifting. We've got some beautiful colors on the leaves. Here we experience all 4 seasons: spring, summer, fall, winter. We get the whole gamut here. And as we're shifting into the fall months and headed right into the winter months, we get some gray days, we get some rainy days, we get some hot days, we get some cold days, we get all sorts of days here, right? Lots of wind, not so much wind, because I live very near to Lake Michigan. I'm right at the tip of Lake Michigan in Northwest Indiana here. And as the weather gets grayer and grayer and grayer, what I start to notice and have helped people with over the past several years of my journey of helping people heal their health and their well-being and their life and now their business, is that people experience what is known scientifically as SAD, right? Seasonal affective disorder. And we're headed right into that season where the gray days and it's cold and people are indoors more, because I don't know about you guys, but I certainly don't like going outside when it's super cold and super windy, although at times we all have to, right? We have to go to the grocery store and run our errands and go visit family and all those sorts of really lovely things. And we start to get depressed or get more anxiety, or maybe we start to sleep more, or maybe negative thoughts are coming more into our life. I've talked with people in the past and even in the present about suicidal thoughts and all these things that just kind of load up inside the consciousness of the human being. And what a beautiful time to be able to talk to you guys about the depth of health and self-care, because it's a topic I certainly know quite a bit about. Many of you may know my story. Many of you may not know my story. I know that the audience continues to grow and grow and grow, and I continue to have amazing chats with so many people who reach out to me, and I'm so incredibly grateful for the chats that I've been having recently with many of you. And that is, in 2005, I was suffering very gravely from suicidal tendencies, psychotic tendencies. I was a severe alcoholic. Although I wore this badge of honor, I was very high functioning for a very long time, until I was no longer high functioning, until it started to affect my life. And I got my third DUI, and I was looking at spending a year in jail. And as I was in the police car on my way to the police station after that third DUI, attempting suicide from the police car, and dealing with having lost a job, I lost my car, anyone who really cared about me at a deep level and loved me had turned their back on me because I had become a completely different person. Because believe me, I tell you, I used to be a completely different person than the person you see talking to you today. Someone who really wasn't kind to others, and really was very selfish and cared about herself and cared about numbing out her feelings, numbing out on life, so she didn't have to deal with the real problems that were really going on. Being detached and kind of, segregating myself and being more connected to people who use drugs and alcohol, even to the extent of hanging out with gang members, and traveling to the projects of Chicago to buy dope every night and drinking to the point of blackout. And I had arrived at this really sad, sorry place in my life. And it wasn't very pleasant, and it was very lonely, and it was very depressing, and it was very isolating. And I thought all hope was lost. I thought all hope was lost because I had tried AA and NA and traditional therapy and prescription medication and inpatient and outpatient treatment centers. I had a sponsor. I worked the steps. I went to the meetings. I did all the things. And a lot of times I didn't apply it fully like I should have, but there were times, and not for short little bursts, but for years, where I really actively was involved in those things because I really wanted to change, right? So I kind of ping-ponged of being like kind of dipping my toes in and being like, oh, what's this all about, to getting to a point where I was like, I'm going to try this. And those sorts of approaches work very well for many people. And I'm so incredibly grateful that they are resources that we have available to us. But it didn't solve my problem fully, because I still eventually went out and drank. When I quit heroin, I quit heroin. When I quit using heroin, I quit using heroin. But alcohol was harder for me. Alcohol was much harder for me to give up, as well as benzodiazepines, because the two to me went hand in hand. But for some reason, my brain could shut off that when I quit heroin, I quit heroin. And I do believe a lot of it is attributed to the detoxification process. Was very stressful for me and something that I told myself I would never do again. And as I was looking at spending a year in jail and being disconnected from life and family and a job and all of these things, my parents very graciously allowed me back into their home under the condition that I had to have a job. 3 blocks from their house was a health food store where my entire life changed. I studied the human body nonstop: biology, chemistry, physiology, anatomy, alternative healing, chakras, energy medicine, medical intuition, all sorts of conventional and alternative approaches, until I was able to understand the human body at this really deep level. And I came up with a 5-step approach it wasn't immediate, but it was over the course of trial and error. I worked at that health food store for 12 and a half years, right? And I still practically apply a lot of the things that I learned into my clients' lives, because it literally shifted who I was and made my shadow become a bright light. I literally overnight went from being over the past 15 years, right? But it feels like it's fast when I look back on it. This person who was suffering and didn't understand what was going on and couldn't make connections, to this person who was literally making connections all the time and understanding at a really deep level what true health and self-care really was. In fact, I have become a published co-author. I have co-authored 2 different books that are published, one of them being a #1 Amazon bestseller, and I'm so incredibly proud of that, because believe me when I tell you, there's a version inside of me that never believed that I could be the person that I have become today and be able to share the stories of experience, strength, and hope with all of you. So I share this as a valuable resource. And for those of you who are suffering, feeling like there's no hope, you're not good enough, you have burned the bridges, you have been to prison, you have been in jail, you have all the DUIs, and you can't become a successful person. I'm living proof that you can. It takes work, right? And it takes drive and it takes motivation. But if one person can change their life, that means it's possible for all of us to change our life. And that's why it's so important for me to share all of this information with you. And the first book I co-authored, that is the #1 Amazon best-selling in the category of women in business, is Victorious Women Overcoming Mediocrity. And my story, Darkness, Darkness Everywhere, goes more in depth into my 3rd DUI. And I share my 5-step approach to health, which is watching your sugar and carbs, which leads to candida overgrowth, which leads to inflammation, which leads to digestive distress, which leads to adrenal fatigue, and that creates a vicious cycle. So if you guys are interested in that book, you can contact me. I do still have copies available. I'd be happy to tell you how you can get that in your hands if you're really interested in getting my story. And there are 21 other women's stories in there that are absolutely phenomenal. But I have that available. If you're interested, please reach out through private message. But I learned that these things, there was a depth to health, right? It wasn't just about, making the right choices with food, because making the right choices with food around what foods give us energy versus what foods take it away. And when I first start to talk about this with people, they get really confused because they're like, food has an energetic quality, food can give us energy, and food can take our energy away. And really, that is true, right? But what I was taught anyway, is that, these are healthy foods and these are unhealthy foods. But really, we each have our own internal gauge that when we're connected to it and we're aware of it and we're practicing learning our body, there are foods that actually give our body energy, meaning, and I don't mean like you've just had a Red Bull or a really strong cup of coffee and you're like, whoo, I'm on top of the world. I mean, when you eat these foods, they make you feel satisfied and you feel full, and it gives you energy for a length of time. And you don't feel bogged down or heavy or foggy, right? And there are other foods that when we eat it, they take our energy away, meaning they bog us down, they make us feel lethargic. I don't know about you, but when I eat too many of those kinds of food, I start to go back to my old thinking of I'm stupid, I'm fat, I'm ugly, which is a story I told myself for a really long period of time, because I did suffer very gravely from binge eating disorder for many years of my life, and still have to learn the right navigation tools with food, because food is something we all have to have, right? In order to survive, we all have to eat. And when I find myself in periods of stress, I can find my mind wanting to wander and grab the comfort foods, and it's not that it's bad or it's wrong. It's like everything in moderation, and us being okay with it, and us understanding what gives us energy versus what takes it away, right? Because as we're making these food choices internally, right, it goes through the digestive system, and all of the nutrients go into our bloodstream, and as all of the nutrients go into the bloodstream, it feeds all the different organs in our body, and it goes through the circulatory system, goes to our intestines, and what we need to keep, we keep, and what we need to excrete, we excrete, right? And the body's so amazing, isn't it? The body's so amazing that we don't even have to think about it until something goes wrong. And then, right, if you're anything like me, you start to freak out and you're like, oh my gosh, what's going on? What's happening? How did this happen, right? It's a great question. How did this happen? Well, generally, disease in the body or dis-ease in the body comes from years and years and years and years and years of choices, right? We all make choices every single day. It may not feel like we're making choices because sometimes our mind is so focused on something else that's going on in our life that we aren't focused on our choice of food. So we're mindlessly grabbing things because our mind is focused on something else. And that's a choice too, right? To be mindless and distracted and to numb out and not be aware and have clarity around our choices is a choice. And we can choose to take our power back and be like, okay, you know what? This thing that my mind has been focused on, whether it's a work project, a family project, your child is throwing a temper tantrum, whatever it is, right? When the crisis is over, when the work break is attained, when whatever it is, when that moment is over, we can become aware that that is over and kind of put it on pause. Work is on pause, childcare is on pause, children's homework is on pause, whatever it is on pause. And now it's time to eat, and we focus our attention on our choices, right? But a lot of times we're so caught up in what we're doing, and I'm guilty of this too, that we aren't aware of the choices that we're making. We're just choosing to mindlessly grab. And what I've learned along the journey is what I'm doing is I'm actually not honoring my body, right? Because each and every one of us have these signals inside of us that we can connect to that allow us to know, you know what, this is a great choice. This feels really good. This feels in alignment. And then there are signals that are like, oh, I feel lethargic. I feel tired. I feel bloated. I feel whatever it is, right? They're signals based upon our choices, but most people aren't connected to those signals. And it really is a form of self-worth, right? When we're choosing to make choices that are in alignment with how it makes our body's energy level feel, that is honoring our body, right? Because our body is our vessel. Our body is what allows us to get through life and show up and wake up every day and participate in life and be with the other important people in our life and create amazing relationships and go out and do our work effectively and be there for our children or our grandchildren or whomever it is you have in your life and be there for yourself. But there was this long time in my own journey where I didn't value my self-worth, that I didn't value me. I didn't value this beautiful human being, this human form that I was so graciously gifted to be a part of this planet, to be a part of humanity. And there's once upon a time a version of Amy Boswinkle who didn't believe that she was worthy of having this life. And this version sitting in front of you is excited and wakes up every morning ready, right? Ready to face the world. And some days there's a lot of energy behind that, and other days there's not so much energy behind it. But believe me when I tell you I wake up excited to participate in life with each and every one of you, I mean that, right? Because I see myself as worthy. And when I see myself as worthy, then I make appropriate choices that align with my body's energetic fuel level. I make choices that are in alignment with my body's energetic happiness level. I make energetic choices around what makes my body feel good around being around other people, right? Because it's all about self-worth. Me seeing myself as worthy of having the energy to feel connected to myself, to allow my body to thrive, to keep my hormones and my entire endocrine system, which is all of your hormones, are connected to your energy body or your chakras, so that they're in a sense of homeostasis and balance. Because when we're stressed out and when we're dealing with things that don't feel good, and we're making choices that aren't in alignment with the energy level that we truly desire to have, we're wreaking havoc internally on the endocrine system, right? Because our adrenal glands emit a hormone called cortisol, and cortisol is the stress hormone. And who on this planet does not have stress? Every single person on this planet has stress. Some days our stress might feel minor. Some days our stress levels might feel like they're going through the roof because we really don't know how to deal with life, because too many curveballs have been thrown at us. I've certainly been there myself. I certainly have a lot of empathy for people going through that. And compound it with people who have gone through trauma and are experiencing PTSD and addictions. Right? Because in time, the body becomes addicted, and it becomes not just a physical addiction, but it's a mental, emotional, and spiritual addiction. And it's layers. That's what I've learned on the journey. It's layers, right? Just because we take away the alcohol bottle or the drug doesn't mean the person's fixed. There's a lot of reprogramming and recoding that needs to go on. We need to reprogram the mind. We need to recode the emotions. We need to strengthen the central nervous system to become more emotionally mature, more emotionally intelligent. Because many people have suffered trauma, PTSD, addictions, extensive stress levels, aren't making the right food choices, or struggling in business. Whatever it is, right? It can be minor, it could be major, it can be everything in between. The body is so prehistoric, it doesn't understand that this stressor is minor and this stressor is major. To the body, stress is stress. And the body is always doing everything in its power to keep us alive. And we don't even have to think about it. That's the miraculous part, right? Until something goes wrong. We don't have to tell ourselves, we can become conscious of our breathing and control it, but we can also be unconscious with our breathing and we'll still breathe. We don't have to tell our heart to beat. We don't have to tell our liver to detoxify toxins as we're putting food choices, alcohol, drugs, whatever it is, into our body, right? The liver, the gallbladder, those of us who still have a gallbladder, right? It does all of that work for us. The kidneys, the circulatory, so we don't have to tell it what to do. It's so cool, it's so miraculous. But when something goes wrong, then we get afraid. And really it boils down to, are you being consciously aware of your choices? And the choices that you're making, are they aligned with the energy that you desire to have? Because if the answer is no, it's really just about gaining clarity around making wiser choices with food, with exercise, with self-care techniques, right? Yes, we can practice getting massages, right? We can get energy work, right? We can go get facials. We can have a hot bath. We can have a wonderful conversation in candlelight with our partner or our loved one, right? And all of those feel really, really good. But the deeper part of self-care, the deeper part of health, is connecting to the body's energy, right? And we can all become consciously aware of, you know what, when I eat this food, this is how I feel. When I exercise, this is how I feel, right? And making those deeper connections, because that's where actual valuing self, self-acceptance, self-love, self-worth actually comes from. Valuing this vessel that you have been given so graciously and so kindly from the universe, or your word, right? From where you believe, right, your soul comes from, because we all have different words. And when we do this, right, when we're actually valuing ourselves and we're actually connected to the energy of our body, and we're making choices that are in alignment with what work for our life, what I've noticed is that my relationships improve. I feel better about myself. I have more of an inner glow that comes out, right? I don't look tired. I don't look haggard. I don't look like my hair's all frizzy and I haven't taken a bath for a week because life is just too frantic and I haven't made time for myself. You are important, friend. You are a very important piece of the puzzle of humanity, the puzzle of being human. I will never be able to express that enough. So the true depth of health and self-care goes down to really becoming aware of the choices that we're making around what we are putting into our bodies, into our vessels, whether that be food or substance or whatever that is, right? And valuing and being connected to the energy it gives us without judgment, but just gently becoming aware, oh wow, isn't this interesting? This is taking my energy away, yet I continue to make this choice. Isn't it interesting? I continue to make this choice, even though I say I want energy and I want to be happier, but I now have awareness that when I eat this food or I drink this beverage or I use this drug, it actually takes my energy away. Or maybe you may notice it gives you energy for a short period of time, but then you come crashing down and you need more of whatever it is you just had. Sugar is a huge culprit. Alcohol for me, right, gave me energy until I got to the point where I was a drinker that drank to the point of blackout. And I was very high functioning for a very long time until I wasn't. One day it all came crashing down on me. And I wore that like a badge of honor, that I was a very high functioning alcoholic, that I could still pay my bills, that I could still go to work, that I still could function in life, right? But yet I was drinking to the point of blackout every night. So I hope this served you, friends. I know that this is just the tip of the iceberg. It really is, but this is a great starting point for those of you who are new to this journey and are trying to learn tools to incorporate into your life, to have a healthier life, to be the best version of you that you can possibly be. Just start to gain awareness of your choices and connect to the energy level of those choices without judgment, because you're never wrong. What we're always trying to do when we are stressed out, our body is always trying to find balance. It's always, right? So if we're stressed out, the body's trying to find peace. And the reason why we make some of the choices that we make, even when we aren't aware we're making choices, is so that the body can find a balance. But the more we gain awareness around our choices, the better we can thrive. The more we're going to heal at a cellular level, the more thinking capacity we're going to have, right? Because our brain is going to be clearer when we're making choices that are in energetic alignment. We're going to be providing more oxygen to our body. When we provide more oxygen to our body, we can think more clearly because the brain is getting more oxygen. We make clearer decisions around thinking, right? Whenever we need to think about decisions, we can think more clearly. All of our choices matter. And I know that these were things that I wasn't taught, that I learned along the journey, and that I truly desire to continue to share with all of you. So if this video spoke to you in any way, I am always open to having chats with all of you. Please feel free to reach out to me. I am currently taking one-on-one clients, and I do have a online business mastermind called Fierce and Fearless Mastermind for online business entrepreneurs. If you're interested in that, reach out to me. I also love being an affiliate of the Bill and Callie Show Network. They are absolutely phenomenal and amazing people. Please make sure you like and follow them on Facebook. They're always sharing incredible information, and their audience just keeps growing and growing and growing and growing. Every week my mind is blown because I just see they're here and they're here in this country and they're here in that country and they're here in the United States, and they just keep growing and multiplying, and it's just absolutely amazing and phenomenal to watch them. Please feel free to like me on my business page, Connections Restored. I do videos pretty much every day, shorter videos. So if you feel called to follow me there, I would love the opportunity to continue this conversation. And if you desire, please feel free to friend request me here on Facebook. I love making new friends and I love chatting with you guys. Again, this is episode 30 of Connections Restored TV. My name is Amy Boswinkle. I am an intuitive and a mind, body, and soul health, life, and business coach. This has been the deeper dive, the deeper look into health and self-care. I hope this episode has served you. I love you all so much, and I cannot wait to see you all again next week. Have an amazing rest of your night, and we will chat soon. Take care.
This episode of The Bill and Callie Show is brought to you by
Connections Restored, helping people who suffer from trauma, PTSD, and addictions. Connect with us at connectionsrestored.com. Connections Restored.